Hello there, I'm Azara Tagaya and welcome to another episode of RinggitPlus. This week, we're looking at home ownership and filing income taxes. First up, let's talk about buying your first home. If you've never bought a home and don't really know how the process goes, then it can be a challenging task. It's going to be the biggest financial commitment you will make in your life. For many, paying off your housing loan will take up the whole duration of your working life. Now, we visited a young couple who finally made the commitment to buy a house in the Klang Valley. What type of home can you purchase if you have a joint income of less than 8,000 ringgit? Jordan Tan and his wife Noel Chu are both in their early 30s. A year ago, they finally decided to invest in a compact 650 square foot apartment in Petaling Jaya. While waiting for their apartment block to be built, they're renting a similar unit here. Both work in the property industry, so they do have experience in the property market themselves. After searching the market, Jordan and Noel managed to buy their unit for 350,000 ringgit. This apartment is typical of what many developers are building these days, which are smaller sized units between 600 to 800 square feet with 2 bedrooms plus 1 utility room.
Yeah, so jom. So yeah.
Okay, so tell us about this room. Is this one of the bedrooms?
Yeah. Okay, technically and officially speaking, this is not a bedroom. This is a utility room, it's a maid's room. Yeah, but if you were to ask me, I love to put a single bed here. I can always have my friends to stay over, my sister or brother. Yeah, the space is just nice, and this is what a lot of people have been mentioning. You know, do you want a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, or maybe it's a 2+1? It depends on how you use it. The third room, in this case, is a utility room, and it's a very versatile room that you can use for office, prayers room, study room, gaming room, and even a bedroom.
Before buying, Noel and Jordan talked about their finances and future lifestyle to help them decide what to buy. So, what's one of the first things that you should look at when looking at property? Well, first of all, consider your budget. How much money do you have at your disposal? What are your finances like? And how much can you actually afford? Can your parents lend you money? And if you're married, what's your joint income like? Now, these are some of the questions that you should answer before looking at property. For married couples, you need to talk about where you'll be in a few years from now. What will your financial situation be like? How much do you expect to earn in the future? And how many children are you expecting?
Just because you can buy, it doesn't mean you can afford to hold the property. Remember that buying is the easiest part. Like I tell all our friends and customers, there are 3 stages: to buy, to hold, to know what to do with it, and you also need to know when to sell. Yeah. So just because you can buy today, will you still be able to maintain your lifestyle? What will happen if you have kids in the future? Do you need to cut down on your mortgage? People, truth be told, they cannot downsize. Once you are living in a big house, it's a struggle to go to a small house already. Yeah. So for that reason, you always need to know your budget. Yeah. When I say budget, it doesn't only refer to loans. It can mean things like, hi pa, hi ma, I just want to ask you, I want to buy a new house. Do you think we can try to work out a deal? You can stay with me, and then, you help me pay part of it. We can be a co-owner. Yeah, They will be more than happy to do it, because it's in their best benefit to have you stay near to them also. Yeah.
What about when you're thinking about the future? Like, you might be staying there for a few years, maybe longer.
Yes.
You might be having a family, maybe not.
Exactly.
So, what are some of the things that people should think about when they're first-time home buyers and also thinking about the long term?
This is a very good question. Again, I have many people who approach us and they ask me, I want to buy a house. Help me. I said, what kind of house do you want? I don't know. You cannot do that. Yeah, you need to know what kind of house. So the thing is that actually a house is one of your biggest investment. You will need to look at it like the house is actually complementing you. In other words, you need to know what do you plan to do with yourself first before you buy a house. Yeah. where will you be going 5 years from now? Will you be married? Will you have kids? Will your parents be moving in with you? Will you be going overseas and coming back occasionally? All of these factors actually will determine where will you stay and what kind of house do you need. Do you need a 3-bedder, 1,000 square feet, or are you okay with a 5-bedroom in 1,000 square feet? Yeah. Everything is a compromise. A bigger house means smaller rooms. Bigger rooms means bigger house means more expensive.
So this is the kitchen area for this unit. Now you can put in your own stove or induction cooker, whatever you choose, but it's not not such a big space. Now you cannot cook up a storm here, but most of the people who live in this type of unit usually eat out. So the thing that you have to consider when you're looking for a place, when you're looking at property, is you have to consider your type of lifestyle.
You know, my parents are pretty traditional. They always say, get a landed house. Don't even look at condo, just get a landed. But the thing is, we cannot afford a landed at our age, at our stage in life, at our kind of salary that we're getting. So when I was discussing with Jordan, we were talking about condos, and I was like thinking, why a condo? Is it that much better? My dad's like constantly behind me saying, no, landed all the way. So
the landed in our place would cost us easily 4,500 per month in installment, not including living costs.
So total will be 1 million lah. So then he was saying that actually, as a person in real estate, you can actually progress in life. It's okay to give up your house later. Maybe start small, buy a house. And sell it off maybe 5 years later and upgrade. You can upgrade in life. You don't have to hold on to that one big house, not like our parents' time.
Okay, so this is a typical yard for an indoor unit like this. Now it's not very big, but it's just enough space for you to have maybe a washing machine or maybe a 2-in-1 washing machine and dryer, and also you can put your drying rack up here. So not very much space, but just enough for you to use.
Apartments like these have higher density with more units. The corridors are smaller but do meet the minimum requirements. There are more facilities like swimming pools and open spaces for couples to work out. So in a way, you can save on your gym membership. Their unit comes with 2 parking lots, something that was important for Jordan and Noel, who find that they have to drive frequently in their line of work. There is an MRT station being built nearby, so they have the option of taking public transportation in the future.
So another thing you should consider is location. Ask yourself these 3 things. Where do you work? Where do you usually hang out? And what other places you're familiar with, like where you usually shop or eat? Now, if you find yourself living far from these 3 things, then you might find yourself spending a lot of time on the road. Well, we hope those property tips was useful for you. After the break, we're going to give you questions you can ask the property developer when you're out looking at new homes. In the meantime, take out your phone and find us on Facebook and YouTube. We have other financial planning tips that will get you ready to buy a home. Thanks for staying with us on Ringgit Sense Plus. You're still with me, Azaria Tagaya. Now, starting next week, there will be a series of property fairs throughout the country to help promote the National Home Ownership Campaign. Many developers will be offering large discounts, some more than 10%, to help clear the large property overhang in the market. The government is also throwing in incentives like stamp duty exemptions to help first-time homebuyers. We wanted to help first-time homebuyers prepare themselves before visiting these property fairs with our next story.
Earlier in the show, we talked to Jordan Tan and Noel Chu, a young couple that have recently purchased an apartment. Both of them also work at a property consultant company and have experience helping customers find the right home.
The first thing that as a house buyer you want to know is that how much can you afford, where you want to stay. Yeah, and then I've always advised them also stick to HDA approved properties. Yeah. HDA actually refers to the housing development. Just think of it as a standard. Yeah. So this body is created by the government. They actually try to regulate the housing market. So if they deem this property as a house, is for residential use, they will tell the developer to regulate it, and you will build according to our specifications. The corridor have to be at least this feet. The door have to be this size. You need to have a window for every room for ventilation purposes. So if you were to buy a house, we highly advise you to look at HDA properties because they are your legal backing. Yeah. They will tell you things that you do not even know, but you will need in the future.
HDA actually regulates the company to enforce them to deliver the property on time. So you don't have this tergendala, this abandoned project that will drag on for 10 years.
Yes.
You know that you receive your property by a certain time, and if the developer does not fulfill that, you will be compensated accordingly.
We also asked them what questions would they ask housing developers.
I was, to be honest, I was actually very overwhelmed. There were so many properties in the market, and all these salespeople, they are very good. Yeah, so I try to ask them things which put them, in my position. How long have this property been in the market? Yeah, why? I mean, to be honest, why is it not sold until today? Yeah, people have been telling me that if you find it in the open market, it's probably not good. Is it true? Did you buy any property here yourself? Yeah, if it's as good as you say it is, why didn't you buy? Yeah, and are there any more development coming nearby around this property? These are the kind of things that you want to be asking to the person who is selling.
Now, we also spoke to the Honorary Secretary General of the National House Buyers Association, HBA, Datuk Chang Kim Leung, to get his views on the topic. And he gave us 3 tips on how to prepare yourself before visiting a property fair. Firstly, find out whether the land that the property is built on is of residential title or commercial title. Residential title attracts residential tariffs, where commercial title attracts commercial rates. This means things such as the electricity, water, and indah water services will all be charged commercial rates, whereas the tariffs for residential title land is typically lower. The second thing you want to look at is the developer's track record, seeing as there have been lots of abandoned projects or projects that have been delayed. Consumers can do a quick check on this at the website for the Ministry of Housing and Local Government. And last but not least, HBA advises consumers to examine the quality standard of the developer. HBA has also suggested that the Ministry of Housing come up with a home ownership education program. This is to raise the financial literacy among consumers in order to fully understand the intricacies of buying property. This includes pre-purchase education, such as undertaking the process of budgeting to buy a house, coming up with the initial deposit, and understanding the types of loans that are in the market. According to HBA, also crucial is post-purchase education. After buying a house, consumers must know how to budget for monthly expenses. Also, find out what are the expenses that need to be paid, like maintenance charges and service charges. A final tip for consumers before visiting a property fair or looking at housing options is to never be hasty. Datuk Chang Kim Leung of the National House Buyers Association, HBA, advises consumers to never feel compelled to make a purchase on the spot. Our young couple, Jordan and Noel, concur with this view.
Don't ever go into a property fair and say, oh, this guy is very charming, I will give him my money and I will buy the house now. You do that, tomorrow you will change your mind. You are buying a house is not buying a vegetable from a market, not buying sayur, So understand that it takes time to let this idea sit in. You go to a property fair, your plan is to meet people, keep in touch. If you find it attractive after you sleep today, get in touch with them again tomorrow.
If you're not ready to buy a home yet, don't worry. Get your finances in order first. Go to our Facebook page where we have many personal finance tips you can act on today. We're going for a short break now. After that, we have tips on filing your income tax. What options do parents have in paying less taxes? The answers after the break. The deadline to file your taxes is in April, but why wait to do it when you can file your taxes now? What are the reliefs available for parents that they should be looking out for? Here's some tips to maximize your tax returns.
According to Dato' Abdul Aziz Abu Bakar, the president of the Association of Malaysian Tax Accountants, MATA, the biggest relief parents should focus on is the SSPN relief. For those filing their taxes this year, you can claim up to 6,000 ringgit when you contribute to your children's National Education Savings Scheme, or better known as SSPN account. This amount is for the net amount in the SSPN account minus withdrawals. Here's what it means. If you've deposited 6,000 ringgit into the account in January 2018, but you've withdrawn 2,000 ringgit in December 2018, then you're only entitled to claim a relief of 4,000 ringgit. This relief is for all SSPN contributions made for your child. So if you have 2 children and the total amount contributed to their account is more than 6,000 ringgit, you're still capped at the 6,000 ringgit amount. If you haven't opened an SSPN account for your child, this is a good year to start contributing to it regularly, as relief amount has increased from 6,000 to 8,000 ringgit for 2019. What this means is when you file your income tax next year, you can claim up to 8,000 ringgit. According to Dato' Abdul Aziz, of all the reliefs available, this is the only one that encourages saving. The rest, such as medical expenses, education, and lifestyle, are for cost of living. PTPTN has also recently announced dividends of 4% for SSPN in 2018. This, plus the tax relief, makes SSPN an attractive tool for parents to save for their children's education. Besides the SSPN relief, parents can also look forward to the child relief that they can claim for each child. For those who are also caring for elderly parents, make sure you keep the receipts for their medical bills, as you can claim reliefs of up to 5,000 ringgit. If you have siblings, Dato' Abdul Aziz offers this tip. If your mother ends up in hospital and the bill is 20,000 ringgit, have the hospital split the bill among the siblings. So if you have 4 siblings, each sibling can claim 5,000 ringgit, as the bill will be in their name. Another way to do it is to have each sibling pay the deposit of 5,000 ringgit individually, so that they can have their own receipt for the deposit. Dato' Abdul Aziz also says you should file your taxes even though your income falls below the minimum taxable amount. He gives an example of those who have a second job of driving ride-sharing, or those who do business online. While the salary from your day job may be below the taxable amount, with your additional income, you're now earning more, which makes you liable to pay income tax.
They need to declare. Because you see, with the current economic scenario, we understand if you are having an employment income of less than 4,000 per month, but you are doing additional jobs. For example, you are a Grab driver. For example, you are doing online business at home. And if your chargeable income it is more than $4,000 a month, you need to declare. You have to file your return form. Not the borang B. E is for employment. You need to file the B, the form B, which you have to file in latest by 30th June. So it is always good to file. If you should know. You should know if your income is more than $4,000 a month, your gross income. You need to file your return form. It's always good. But my advice is actually just file. Just file the return form. I think it is not difficult to file the return form. You can do it based on e-filing.
If you have a second property that you're renting out, you should also declare this income. The good news is you can claim for the cost of renting out the property. Things like paying an agent's commission, the painting of the place, and repairs made. According to Han Liu, the CEO of RinggitPlus, there are changes in Budget 2019 that taxpayers should take note of.
The major one that pretty much affects a large percentage of people, the population of taxpayers, is the restructuring of the EPF tax relief. What used to be a combined relief of EPF and life insurance of 6,000 ringgit now becomes 2 separate reliefs of 4,000 for EPF and 3,000 for life insurance. So what this means is people who are earning between 3 to kind of 5,000 ringgit will be impacted in that if they did not have life insurance, their tax relief starts coming down and their taxable income starts going up. Another key aspect within this year's budget that you can act on today versus last year is that a number of reliefs have been consolidated under this category called lifestyle, where it includes books. It used to be just books and magazines, and then other things will be in other places, but now it's just a big consolidated relief called lifestyle, which includes books and magazines, sports equipment, broadband, your broadband fees are now lumped into a larger tax relief of 2,500 ringgit.
Finally, remember the deadlines. For taxpayers with fixed income, it's on the 31st of March. And for people with unfixed income, the deadline to file their income tax is on 30th April. Well, that's the show for today. As usual, we hope you learned a thing or two about financial management. Now, to catch up on all our stories, go to our Facebook page or YouTube. And for other topics on personal finance, make sure to tune in again next week. I'm Azara Tagaya signing out. Remember to invest and save wisely.